Chalk. What follows is a material witness interview transcript from the aftermath of a potentially violent incident at Greenwood Elementary School. This transcript was leaked to Project Ravenwind by an anonymous source. Good evening, Miss Sanchez. I'm Detective Royce Plame. Thank you for waiting around. As you know, this is a very serious case, and you've identified yourself as a primary witness to these events. I also see that you've completed identifying the relevant individuals by physical description in your initial statement at the scene. Now, Ms. Sanchez, it is essential this preliminary interview is completed as soon as possible. As you might imagine, the mind can change if we wait too long. Details go missing. Yes, officer, I understand. Before we begin, what is Alan Borowitz's condition? Alan is fine for the most part. His head wound was not severe, and he will make a full recovery. You should be more concerned for Mr. Peter Blackburn. He was the child most severely injured in the incident. I don't care about this bully. I see. Well, let's take it from the beginning. For the record, please state your name and occupation at the school. Melinda Sanchez. I'm a school custodian. I want to state for the record, Alan Borowitz never touched Peter or any of those Punta kids. Ma'am, please understand that we're pursuing every angle in this case. A 12-year-old boy was seriously injured in a potentially violent and potentially criminal circumstances. All we need is your cooperation, making a statement of the ins and outs of what you witnessed. From there we will determine what, if any, course of action to pursue against the suspects. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Now, with regard to Alan Borowitz, what, if any, previous interactions have you had with him? Please bear in mind that Mr. Borowitz is considered a person of interest in this case, not a suspect. He has not been charged with a crime thus far. Well, Alan was a very special boy. He is usually quiet when I see him in the halls. He keeps to himself. He talks to me sometimes when he sees me. Usually he's the only child with anything nice to say to me. He likes to confide in me. Tells me what he's thinking, how he's feeling. Tells me about what he's learning in his classes. He really excels in his studies, and he especially likes dinosaurs. Are you aware of any previous violent tendencies, or he has a social disability, and he's picked on a lot for it? Well, we are aware of his medical history, but what about his relationship to violent behavior? The only violence I see is the violence around him. Peter Blackburn and Willie James, and that other little pendejo kid are always picking on him around the clock. They push him and hit him, and last week they took his food money from him. Sometimes Alan comes to school early and even has bruises and cuts on him from I don't know where. He didn't have them before. The thing about Alan is that he never lifts a finger to them. He just takes the hits, and sometimes, he falls and curls up into a ball. They even wreck his art. And thank you for mentioning his art. Do you mean his sidewalk chalking? Yes. And I understand from your preliminary statement and others that today's incident revolved around his sidewalk chalk art. Is that correct? Yes, I gave him. Yes? I gave him some new chalk. He is so talented with it. See? Note. Witness 1 shows Detective 1 photos of Sidewalk chalk on her cell phone. Yes, those are actually very nice. He does seem to have a penchant for art, but I have to point out that no one found any chalk art at the scene. You missed it because it rained. He was working on something very nice with his new chalk. He drew the most beautiful green plants from the edge of the sidewalk to the middle of the courtyard, and then a beautiful stack of pancakes with a bright yellow butter pad on top. He loves pancakes. Ma'am, you stated before you saw the incident in its entirety. Can you walk me through it, step by step? If you care for Alan, you'll help us establish his non-violent involvement with this incident. Of course, officer. He was finishing up his last drawing behind the pancakes with a piece of red chalk. Red is his favorite color. Peter, Willie, and that third awful, awful boy came over to the picture of the plants and started calling him names. And what were you doing at the time? I was outside the west door on my break having a cigarette, and I see all this happen. Alan comes up to them and tells them to stop as they take their shoes and try to scuff up his art. And this is when the physical contact began. No, not right away. But then I see Peter grab Alan and try to take him to the concrete. But Alan, I see him. He breaks the green chalk I gave him. He broke the chalk on Peter? No, he breaks it on the ground as they almost have him down, but then poof, Alan vanishes in the blink of an eye, and then poof, he reappears near the middle of the courtyard, and he steps backwards over his newly drawn pancake stack. He vanishes and reappears. He doesn't get up, he just poof. Poof. Oh yes, ma'am. Alan is not a good runner, but he is there, fully on his feet and all. It looked like he just sprouted out of the courtyard like 15 feet away from the Bullies. Are you sure you didn't just blink or forget something you saw? Well, maybe. But I've never seen him do this before. Usually when they start dragging him down, he goes down and he stays on the ground. Then what happened? They started yelling at him. I can't hear them, but Alan just stands there and they come after him. They charged him? Oh, yes, ma'am, a full sprint. Then what happens? Then Alan breaks the yellow chalk. He drops it and steps on it. Then as the three bullies almost get within hitting range of Alan, they all fall. They slip and they slide in the concrete and they fall down like they slipped on ice. All of the boys do have scrapes on their knees and pants, so Alan pushed them all down. No, ma'am, you're not listening to me. All three boys just whoosh, slip and fall like cartoons on a banana peel. And they hurt, and they try to stand up and come back at Alan, but they can't. Ma'am, that's not how Peter became injured. You need to tell me how this happened and stop trying to protect Alan. Something happened, and we have to get to the bottom of that. Peter Blackburn finally gets to his feet, and he grabs a sharp chunk of concrete, and he raises it over his head and comes after Alan again. Alan, he tries to run, but like I said, he's slow. He's not a good runner. Peter catches up to Alan on the courtyard and hits Alan in the face with the chunk of concrete, and I'm going to stop you right here. All of this happened, and no one else saw this on the playground. No one else out there intervened? It's no secret. The playground attendants, they don't care much for Alan. They think he's annoying. Besides, so many of the other kids are little monsters, and no one was paying attention to this. Why didn't you call an attendant, or better yet, try to stop it yourself? I don't like me doing either. The school administration has warned me not to interact much with the children. They say I don't have the right certificates, and they threaten my job if I try to help with the kids. I see. So, what happened after the concrete? Alan is down, and he hurt his face. Peter still has the concrete junk, and he lifts it up over his head again, and he's gonna bring it down, and then Alan breaks the red chalk I gave him. So, Alan breaks the red chalk on Peter's face or on his leg? On the ground, ma'am. Alan breaks it on the ground, just like the last pieces of chalk. Then what happened? Then Peter starts screaming, and he staggers on one leg, and he tries to lunge away towards the edge of the playground by the grass. Billy and that other terrible boy are just shocked by what they see, and they both run away, off the concrete, as fast as they can. Peter goes down again. He tries getting back up, and, he never came close to Alan again. Alan never touched him. The whole time, Alan never touches him. Ma'am, I need to be very direct and serious with you. A 12-year-old boy's leg has been traumatically amputated from the knee down, and there's no trace of the remains of his shoe, his pants, his foot, or his leg. Nothing, Miss Sanchez. Nothing. Something Alan never laid a hand on Peter. Alan could barely walk, barely stand with his head injury. I saw Peter's leg and the blood when he crawled off the concrete. It was a ragged, bloody mess, and it serves him right. Then what happened? That's exactly what happened. That's it. Well, can you tell me what does Alan like to draw with the red chalk? Do you have any photos of that? He always draws the same thing in red. He's very talented. Witness 1 shows a phone image to Detective 1. Okay, Mrs. Sanchez, I think we're done here. Thank you for your statement. You're free to go. What'll happen to Alan? At this time, as I said, he's only a person of interest. He's not a suspect. He's not been charged. If we have any additional questions, we will contact you. Time elapses, approximately 4 hours later. Plame, you've been in there for almost 2 hours. Fred, was any video recovered from the scene? Oh yeah, you gotta take a look at that. It's like the kid just melts into the concrete and gets ripped off. That little screwball kid is nowhere near him. It's nuts. I can picture it in my head. What did the janitor say? She's kind of creepy, isn't she? She didn't say much. Crazy stuff, really. Tell me, is the CCTV footage in color? Some of it is. Why? Does Alan, the person of interest, break a piece of red chalk? Yes. And he's nowhere near the brat with the missing leg. So what? She showed me a picture of the things Alan likes to draw with chalk. She showed me a green plant, a giant stack of pancakes with melting yellow pat of butter on top, and a red. Hello, Earth to Plame, what are you getting at? Sanchez said he broke some green chalk. Then he broke some yellow chalk, a green plant, a yellow butter pad, a red what? A red dinosaur, like a big T-Rex with big teeth. Look, detective, I don't know what you're trying to say, but well, we gotta chalk this up to something, right?